Here's a story about the Baal Shem Tov. It's a sort of a known story, but I'll tell it anyway. Good story. Once there was a poor Chassid. Unfortunately, it wasn't just once. There's a lot of stories about that, but this is a story about one poor Chassid, and he lived pretty much alone in this village. That's how he made his money. It was very difficult to make money, and that's how he made his money. He lived in this village, and he did whatever it is. He was a tailor or something, and he did fixings. Very poor. Lived just on the verge of um, of total poverty all the time. One day there came on Thursday evening. There came a chariot, a carriage. A carriage stopped in front of his house, and out of the carriage came the Baal Shem Tov and eight of his pupils, seven of his pupils, and they said, "We would like to stay here if we could, just for the night." And he said, "Of course. What's the problem? Have you got anything to eat?" He says, "Oh yes, I do." Really, he didn't, but he went to the grocery that was nearby, and he borrowed things from them, from his neighbors, a couple of eggs or flour or something like that, and he made something for them to eat. Baal Shem Tov said, in the morning, they woke up in the morning, 6 in the morning, they prayed. The man, of course, joined. He had a son that was above bar mitzvah. They made a minyan, and they prayed the morning prayer. And the Baal Shem Tov said, "Listen, I really like it here. You have a really beautiful atmosphere in your house." He said, "But, there's," and the man said, "But, I'm sorry for the quarters. There's no place for you to sleep." He said, "Don't worry. We slept last night. We'll sleep. We want to stay here for Shabbat." Oh, Baal Shem Tov, holy of holies, is going to stay for Shabbat. What a happy Shabbat it's going to be. So the man had no choice, and he went and he slaughtered his only cow, and he made the meat used for the meals, calf or whatever he saw, his goat, whatever. Anyway, the whole thing was used up for the meals, and he had a few chickens that he slaughtered also. And he went to the nearby grocery store, and he asked them, they wouldn't give him anything. They said, "Listen, you already owe us enough money. You owe us too much. We can't give you any more credit." And that's it. So he had a little flour left that he borrowed from his Indian. Anyway, he made enough for the Shabbat, and they ate the Shabbat. What a Shabbat that was! What a Shabbat! Never had been such an amazing experience. The prayers and the words of the Baal Shem Tov and the inspiration, and the hope that he gave, and the love and the positivity. Anyway, the the Shabbat finished. Motzi Shabbat. Baal Shem Tov said, "Okay, yeah, again, do you have anything left? We can make a malava mulka." Malava mulka is the meal after the Shabbat. So the man got together all the leftovers that were there, and he found a couple of little loaves of bread, and they made a malava mulka. In the morning, the Baal Shem Tov woke up in the morning, and they're all going to travel. You can't travel at nighttime. Back then, there was no lights, street lights or anything. So the morning crack of the morning, okay, we're going to go. They prayed the morning prayer, and they said, "Have you got anything left to eat? Anything?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, nothing. Look around." So he looked around, and he found one sardine can, a little sardine or something. Baal Shem Tov said, "That's enough." He cut it up into 10 pieces, gave it to his followers and to the man, to his son. And that, "You sure you haven't got anything left in the house? We got water, not, that's good enough. Thank you very much." And he left. Good. The man is waving goodbye, and the Baal Shem Tov fades away into the distance, into the horizon. And now the man is left, and he hasn't got any food. So his children start crying. They want something to eat. Usually, you give him a little, a cookie or something. Nothing. He hasn't got any goat. He hasn't got any goat milk. He hasn't got no chickens, no eggs. So the kids are getting hungry, and they start to cry. They don't like to complain, but they're just little kids, And his wife also, you can see that she's suffering in quiet. It comes in the afternoon, and the children are really, they're suffering. So he goes out into this backyard. This man goes out in this backyard, and he lifts his hands up to God, and he says, "Listen, God, I never asked for anything for myself. You've always provided for us, for me and my family. And now this is the first time, but my children are hungry, and I haven't got any means to provide for them. please, God, do some sort of a miracle and get me at least enough to pay my children, maybe feed my children. Maybe somebody give charity. Maybe we'll find, a quarter somewhere. And he falls down and he starts crying. After about an hour, as there stops a big carriage in front of his house, royal carriage, like with this oil, two men get out, Jewish men. You can see they have beards, they have tzitzis. Can we stop here for a moment? We're looking for a Jewish house to stop. We didn't find yours is the only Jewish house we found. Yes, you can, but I haven't got anything to eat. He says, food is no problem. Food is no problem. We have food. We're on our way to Moscow or to whatever it is, to Prague or something. There's big rabbis over there. We want to see the rabbis. And food with no problem. Here, we have enough food for, how many children do you have? 50 children. We have enough food for everybody. He says, no, I only have, like 8 children or something like that. And my wife, sure, no problem. It's all kosher. Everything is kosher. They come in, oh, the kids are happy and they're all eating. And the man is happy. This is the miracle that guy asked for God. So he sees the two men are talking to each other. And one says to the other one, tell me, do you know Jewish law? And he said, I'm a Jew. I know something. You know the laws of Choshen Mishpat. There's a book called Choshen Mishpat with, monetary things. He says, yeah, I know. He says, listen, well, we're on our way to Prague. And it's going to be another like 4 or 5 day journey. Maybe you can answer our problem. If you can answer our problem, then we won't have to travel, and we'll give you, 1% of all of the the money in question. So, okay, I can do what I said. So they sat down with him after they finished the meal, and they laid out the whole problem. They were partners in a business, and now they want to dissolve the partnership. They're friendly, very friendly terms, but they don't know how to do it because there's investments, and then there's debts, and then there's land, and there's properties, and there's the properties that are owned, and then there's properties that they rented out. It's very complicated, the whole entire thing. So he sit down and he sees that not only that they owe money and own money is owed to them, they owe each other money, and they made promises, and so they lay the whole thing out in front of this poor man. And he says just one more. Goes in the next room, looks in the Shulchan Aruch, in Choshen Mishpat, and he says, and he comes out and he says, okay, listen, you can take my advice or not take it. This is what I think you have to do. And he lays out the whole thing and he gives them the whole entire answer. And of course, God helped them a lot, that his head became very clear. And they said, they looked at each other, said, let's go over this again. This, how much? Well, this is 1% over here, 5% over there. This you'll pay over gradually. And they said, listen, that is really a good answer. We accept that answer. We accept that. That's really just beautiful. That's beautiful. And now we agreed with you, 1%, you get 1%. And what we're talking about over here, this is $50 million worth of properties. In which case you get $500,000. 50, you get $500,000. It's $500,000. Listen, we don't have all the money right now. But we'll come back and we give it. We give the 50, $500,000. Here, take 50,000 right now. And we'll come back and we'll give the rest. Doesn't know what to say. They get in their carriage. Thank you very much. Give them a big hug and a kiss. Go on. So, of course, the man goes immediately and he pays off all of his debts to his next door neighbors, and he buys food, and the children are all happy and everything. All of a sudden comes the carriage of the Baal Shem Tov comes back. And the Baal Shem Tov gets out. He says, oh, Baal Shem Tov, what a miracle it just was. 2 people started in front of my house. They said they're going to give me $500,000. Baal Shem Tov, it all belongs to you. It's all your blessing. You can take as much as you want. The Baal Shem Tov said, no, you don't understand what happened here. I saw that up in heaven was waiting for you a very, very big blessing. But you never prayed for it. You never prayed for anything for yourself. You're always thinking about others and about your family and helping others. And it was just waiting for your prayers. Therefore, I had to come here and eat all of your food and break your heart so that finally, the first time in your life, you would pray for yourself that you need money. And as soon as you opened up the gates of a blessing, as you got all of the blessings and more blessings will come. Therefore, all of the money belongs to you. Whatever you want to give to charity, you can give, but it's all yours 100%. I just had to come and do that, torture you in order that you would open your heart and pray. And this is a lesson to us, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe said so many times, that we should feel terrible that we are in exile. That's one of the purposes of Chassidut. We should feel terrible that we're in exile, and that we should pray, we want Mashiach now, and God will answer our prayers.